This month we are talking about your postural muscles, especially the ones that are involved in weakness and tightness that develop very commonly when you spend a large amount of time sitting at a computer. So we will be talking about which muscles get tight, which muscles get weak, and then how to stretch or strengthen them appropriately.
Yes.
And with me, as usual, is Matt, aka HP for Gamers.
That's
So
right.
hello as well. And please let me see that this is actually working before I make us start doing exercises because it's already glitched out on me once.
It is. It's live.
Yay!
I think it's live. I feel it. I feel the
Oh wait, you're just saying you
liveness of
feel it? That's not evidence based. That is your gut. That is the exact
it.
opposite of the show.
I saw evidence of it by having the window up.
All right, that works.
Evidence.
I accept this evidence.
Good. Good. High specificity. Roll it in. Spin it. Anyways, really nerdy talk, but why don't I start by describing, because as you mentioned, there are two syndromes. There's the upper body, upper cross syndrome, and these syndromes basically describe the most common postural sort of impairments, meaning tightness or weakness that we see in the upper and lower body. And it's called cross. There's the upper body, there's two lines, and upper cross
Let me
syndrome.
share
And
this
these syndromes
picture for you
basically
guys.
describe the. Can you guys see that? Do they see it?
They should
Do
indeed
they
see
see
it.
this lovely picture here?
It's a very lovely picture. Oh, good
Good.
lord, it's giving
So-
me dizziness.
So
Vertigo!
there's two lines. One is a line A, two is a line B, and line A represents the most commonly stiff and tight muscles, which tend to develop with prolonged sitting, which is what we love to do when we play. And they are muscles like our upper trap, which is over here, and our levator scap, it's another muscle over here, and things like our pecs. And line B represents weak, or what you call inhibited. So meaning they don't work as well because they're in a lengthened position. And these are your deep neck muscles over here, and things like your lower trap and serratus, your wing or finger muscles over here. But we associate it with the B line. And basically, we want to show you exercises that help you guys target these. So we, work on some exercises that address stiffness and then strengthen or activate the muscles that are weak. So let me bring my camera back. I'm back, right? Perfect. Am I back?
Yes, you are back.
Okay.
Somebody's
Perfect.
saying audio was doubled. Let me listen for a sec.
Oh, it's double. Yeah, camera back. I'm back, right? Perfect.
All right, I think it's fixed
Am I
itself.
back?
Yes, you are
Okay,
back.
okay.
Perfect.
Somebody's
So the exercises, again, we're going to show you target those two crosses. So the first exercise I'm going to show you guys, and for each exercise, we're going to go over kind of the purpose. We're going to describe the movement a little bit. I'm going to share with you guys some key points, and then we're going to go over how often to do it and when you should do it. Then I'll give you guys some tips so that you guys can actually incorporate it into your daily lives or your gaming lifestyle or your basically when you play. So the first exercise is something I call the what up, or it's also called the Brugger exercise or extension exercise. And the purpose of this exercise is again to target more of the inhibited muscles, the muscles back here, as well as the ones here. So it's the B line, but it also works to kind of passively stretch the ones here and relieve some tension over here. So I'll show you guys how to do it, and what you guys are going to do is start with your palms. You're going to stand up first. You're going to start with your palms facing together in front of you. You're going to slowly rotate your palms out till the palms are facing away from you, and then your thumbs are going to face behind you when you're at the end of the movement. And at the end, you can squeeze your shoulder blades together like that, and also take a deep breath. And you can hold this for about 5 seconds and then bring it back to the starting position. So from the front, again, it looks like this. So it's like you're saying, what up? Like you're going to fight someone or something. No, maybe not. You start here, you bring your arms out and you rotate until your thumbs are facing behind you. squeeze your shoulder blades, and take a deep breath and hold for about 5 seconds. And from the side, you're actually bringing the hands right behind the plane of your body. So as you can kind of see, it ends up here. It's not so far back. You're just bringing it right behind the plane of your body. Squeeze your shoulder blades, take a deep breath, hold that for about 5 seconds, and then bring it back. So some kind of key things to remember with this is that you always want to start with proper posture. And we've touched on this so many times, but just remember, keep your chest up, keep your chin slightly tucked, then set your shoulder blades back and slightly up. And you just start in that position. So don't start here. I mean, you probably could, but ideally start in the more optimal position. And then at the end, remember the exercise, your hands will be slightly behind the plane of your body, and make sure your thumbs are facing behind you, because this allows a little more expansion of the chest and a little more rib cage expansion as well. So you can breathe a little better with that. And in terms of how often to do this, I would just do as many as you can do in 1 minute, which should be about 10 to 12 repetitions if you hold it for about 5 seconds. And it's not that long if you guys really think about it. After all of your games, or after like a 40 to 50-minute game, if you just take 1 minute, it can really go a long way to help you guys really play for longer in general. So that's something really important that, again, I want to emphasize is that, how do we actually incorporate this in our lives? And we do that by, I always say, to have a plan. You can use willpower, but posture isn't everyone's big life goal. So it's just one thing you want to improve on so you can have better overall gaming health.
Right.
So just have a plan. Say after every 1 or 2 competitive games or 40, 50 minutes, whichever one comes first, perform that exercise. And just get up and, again, take the 1 minute to do it.
Right.
Remember, it's the what up, you're bringing it out and back. And you can always reference our episode, this one, to see how to properly do it. But I'll also we're probably going to release some episodes together on each of these exercises more specifically so you can reference them each one at a time.
And keep in mind, you can have, make sure that you have that plan in place, have reminders for yourself, set alarms if you need to, but also think about how short a minute is. That's a late game death timer in Dota. That's less than the amount of time it takes you to queue on standard Valve servers. You can do that while queuing. You can do that while dead. You can take off your headset, ignore your raging teammates, and do a quick minute distraction, come back, and I don't know. You probably won't get a rampage unless you're bed playing Meepo right now. I'm missing this Meepo game, and I'm so sad. But it will only take you a minute to do.
So relevant?
It is totally relevant. No, but the point is, you can do it on a schedule, or you can do it when opportunity arises. But because it's not going to be easy to remember to do when opportunity arises initially, make it a habit by doing it on a schedule first.
Right. And one also really, really important thing that I want to touch on is, and especially with our friend, the Straw Hat Penguin, says, hey,
hello.
You're not really comfortable when you sit up straight. So there's this thing that's called the set point. And for you guys, you can think about it as your default settings, like in a game, your default settings. And when we play, we're so used to this position that we play in. It's our default settings. It's our set point. Okay, and when we give you all these recommendations to have better posture, we're trying to steadily change this. We're trying to gradually bring you from here to here. So it's not going to be something that will change immediately. It's going to take some time. And they actually did a lot of studies on how quickly it takes to change your set point or motor patterns. And the studies show that if you dedicate 40 minutes a day, you can change your set point in 5 days. And while that sounds great, it's pretty unrealistic for everyone to just sit there with perfect posture for 40 minutes straight in the day. No one is going to do that.
Nope.
What's more realistic is, hey, we just dedicate 5 to 10 minutes here and there, spread throughout the day to remind yourself of better posture, and that allows you to change your set point over the 2 to 4 week period.
Yep.
And that's way more realistic for our community. I mean, we're not gonna dedicate the 40 minutes to just sit there and just have amazing posture.
No. And if you
also
think
a lot
about
of
it,
other ways. Sorry, go on.
You didn't learn to, you didn't learn to last hit perfectly in the span of 3 sandbox matches. You didn't get perfect tech skill, and you didn't blink in appropriately, and you didn't strategize well just by doing 3 games. Like, you're not going to fix your posture just by doing this once. Like, this is not,
Exactly.
and your posture is going to be magically better just because you follow our advice a couple times. The only way
Yeah.
that this is going to get better, just like the only way you get marginally less bad at MOBAs, is if you do it
A nice way to put
consistently.
it.
If you practice it consistently. And that doesn't mean that you do it constantly at all times, every single second. It means that you intentionally remind yourself, okay, after every match, I'm going to reset my posture. Okay, every time I
Yeah.
die, I'm going to reset my posture. Um,
Exactly. Exactly.
okay, I'm watching this 24/7 Twitch multicast of the Kiev Major qualifiers. Okay, every time Ben gets a rampage, I'm going to find some cue that makes you fix your posture, do it occasionally, and make sure that you do it consistently. That's way
Exactly.
better than trying to do it for some extended period of time, tiring yourself out, getting demoralized, and never doing it again.
Yeah, I think in the end, the one thing I could just suggest is, or we can both suggest, is that you just have to be consistent with
Yep, be consistent.
having better posture.
Yep.
That's really it. It's just about consistency,
Yep.
just like it is with everything. If we want to get better at a game, we're going to consistently play it by paying attention to the right things.
Yep.
Anyways, let's get back to a second exercise that I want to show you guys. So the first one was the what up, and just to review, you're standing. You bring your arms out behind you, squeeze your shoulder blades, take a deep breath. This one is a little more of a stretching type exercise, but it also helps to facilitate better breathing. And it's actually really cool. If you guys try this with me as I describe it, I want you guys to pay attention to how it feels the moment after you're done, maybe 3 to 4 repetitions. And the purpose of this exercise is something I came up with. Is called the elbows back and reach, and it specifically works on your mid back musculature,
Muscles.
and it also works on your rib cage. Have it expand more, and then again, the muscles that are supporting your shoulder blades. Call them scapular stabilizers, but it's the muscles that support them. And to do this, you start by putting your hands behind your head. And while you take a nice, or you slowly bring your elbows back while bringing your chest up, you will feel a little bit of stiffness in your mid back during this part of the movement. And then you reach up towards the ceiling while keeping your elbows in the plane of your body. And then as you're reaching up, take a nice and deep breath. And then hold it, and you're going to bring your arms back down behind your head, and then exhale as your elbows come forward. And I want you guys to do this 3 to 4 times with me right now. So again, it's behind your head, bring your elbows back, chest up, reach up towards the ceiling, take a nice and deep breath. Bring it back down behind your head, keeping your elbows in the plane of your body, and then exhale. And then let's just do that 3 more times. So elbows back, reach up, nice deep breath, back down, elbows in, and exhale. Bring it back up, reach up and breathe, back down, elbows in, and exhale. And then let's do one more time. This is for good measure. Elbows back, reach all the way up, back down, exhale as your elbows come forward. And then really pay attention to how this feels. You might feel like your chest is a little more opened up. Maybe you're a little more warm just because you probably haven't moved in a while. I haven't, so I feel a little more warm. But I kind of feel like I've finally been able to take a nice deep breath after a long time of not.
Yep.
Or maybe standing at the top of a mountain and just getting a nice breath of fresh air. And it's interesting because a lot of the times after a long period of gaming, we might feel mentally fatigued. And if you guys think about it, we're in this position where our ribs don't really expand. So we're not getting as much oxygen to our muscles and our brain.
Yep.
So it could potentially be a reason why we tend to get mentally fatigued. It's just that we're not in a position to allow our lungs to provide oxygen to our muscles and our brain. So remember, elbows back and reach. And for this one, again, just do as many as you can do in 1 minute. And it's roughly 4 to 5 repetitions. So just to review, bring your elbows back, reach up towards the ceiling, take a deep breath at the top, come back down, and then elbows forward and exhale. And performing as many as you can do in 1 minute. And this is probably the one exercise that I give most to everyone that I work with in esports.
It's useful for everybody.
For a super long time. Yeah, pretty much everyone. And again, remember, how do you guys incorporate this in your life? Set up some rules for yourself before you start playing, after you start playing, in between your games, after a certain amount of deaths. If you have a plan, you'll actually be able to incorporate this. If not, you're just gonna let it fall to the wayside, and people will just tend to forget about their posture this way.
Yep.
But that kind of sums up 2 easy exercises that you guys can do for your upper body. So 1 being the what up, and 2 being the elbows back and reach. And then now Kaylin has some really awesome exercises for the lower body.
Yeah, so I have to say the biggest downside of doing this show for you guys is that we have way too many exercises that we want to geek out about with Ego, and we can't do all of them, which is partly why, like Matt said, we're going to be releasing some video content in the very near future, going over these exercises one by one, kind of in a routine that you can follow along with if you want to, making it a little more accessible and easy to do. But for today, we're just going to stick to the highlights, I guess. So Matt talked about upper cross syndrome, about what muscles are tight and what muscles are weak when it comes to the upper half of your body.
Kind of like an
I'll be focusing on lower cross syndrome, which is very similar to upper cross, only, kind of axis around your hips instead of axis around your shoulders. So this is the part where I have to do fun things with my camera in order to make this work, and also I have to kneel on a chair because I'm short. All right.
All right.
There we go.
Let's
do
it.
All right. So when it comes to lower cross syndrome, the muscles that are tight are the extensors along your spine, the muscles that extend it, and then your hip flexors right here, where you bend when you sit. And then the muscles that are weak, the muscles that are inhibited, are your abdominal muscles, so all up in here, and then your butt, gluteus maximus. I'm sure that'll get clipped at some point by somebody somewhere. Anyway, so we're going to go over a couple things you can do to address tightness in your lumbar extensors and your hip flexors, and then stuff you can do to strengthen your abs and your glute maximus. The really good news is your abs and your gluteus maximus can be strengthened by so many freaking exercises, and you probably know some already. So if you've ever used an ab roller, if you've ever done deadlifts, if you've ever done squats, those are all really great exercises that hit multiple muscle groups, and deadlifts and squats in particular are great for your butt. Make sure you're doing them with good form. If you've never done them before and you want to try doing them, have somebody do form spotting with you. And if you're looking for good resources to learn what the form should look like, Matt has videos that he posts of him doing deadlifts. My friend Jordan Syatt is a personal trainer. He also does some really good demos for beginners. SYATT, Jordan Syatt. Those are not what we're going to be doing on stream tonight. We're going to bring it down a couple levels. We're going to start first with the stretching, and then we're going to do the strengthening parts. So, camera's going mobile. Anybody who has vertigo, you may want to look away now. Oh, this is my very, very high-tech setup here. And by very high-tech, I mean it's currently perched on a platform made out of PT school textbooks.
Perfect.
All right. So, first things first, we want to make sure that we are loosening up our spine. So we're going to do what's called the cat-camel exercise for spinal mobility. You guys can all see me in the middle of the screen. You're going to round your back. Ooh, I just realized what I forgot to do. Hold on. Forgot to do this. There we go. Now you guys all have a lovely view of my small apartment. So when you do a cat-camel, first things first, you're going to round your back up as far as it'll go. And then you're going to arch your back all the way down. And you want to imagine that you're rolling every single vertebrae one by one, allowing every single one of them to relax. You want to do 10 of these to get things started and loosened up. So that's going to work with the mobility of your lumbar spine in here. Other things you can do for lumbar spine mobility, you can do things like foam rolling. Foam rolling's great. I have my foam roller right here. It's my best friend. Just laying with that underneath your spine. And then rolling back and forth. Make sure that you're not dropping your head. Feels lovely. You can use foam rollers for everything. I highly recommend getting one.
Oh, it's so good.
Foam rollers
So
are the
good.
best, actually, and I am going to do an entire video just on fun ways to use a foam roller to make yourself less tight. The other
That's
thing
great.
you want to focus on after you focused on your lumbar spine is you want to focus on your hip flexors, which are here in front. And you can imagine if you spend all day sitting in this position with your hip flexors shortened at their shortest length, they're going to get tight over time. Even if
True.
you are standing, a lot of us tend to have this kind of anterior rotated pelvic posture, which we've talked about.
I'm really good at it.
I'm fantastic at it. It's great.
Oh man.
Yeah. What's happening there is my thoracic and lumbar spine are tight, drawing things up. My abdomen is weak, not drawing things back the other way. My hip flexors are tight, pulling things down, and my glute is not strong either, which would be extending my hips. So, if you want to fix this, you need to stretch this here. Easiest way to do that, kneeling lunge. Make sure that your hips are in a line side to side, so I'm not rotated out like this. One hip is right next to the other. And then you're just leaning down and through. And this isn't about, arching my back and pushing out as far as I possibly can. This is about bringing this hip, my right hip, forward, slowly. You'll feel it along the front of your hip. And just like with any other stretch, you only want to go as far as is a stretch for you. For you, this may be a stretch. You may be hyper limber and you have to go all the way out to here in order to get a stretch. Find the spot that is a stretch for you and hold it for at least 30 seconds. It should never feel sharply painful, but there's like that stretchy kind of release that you feel when you're doing a good stretch. That's what you're seeking out. That's what you should be feeling when you're doing these stretches. So to recap, cat camel for spinal mobility, up and down 10 times, and then your lunges, pushing your hip forward. 30 seconds. And so these two things can be done in under 2 minutes. So you could very well do these after 2 games. You could do these while you're queuing. You could do them before you go to bed. You could do them when you wake up in the morning. Pick a time that works for you. Set a reminder and do it consistently. Make that posture a habit. And then the other things you want to do is you want to strengthen your abs and your butt. Easiest one to do for abs is, well, there's a whole bunch of things you can do for abs. Again, the eternal problem if we want to geek about too many exercises. You can do planks. Planks are great because they stabilize you in an extended position. You can use an ab roller, which according to some recent research suggests is the best for activating the muscles we're trying to hit. Probably the easiest one to do with no equipment whatsoever would just be a very basic curl up. It's like a crunch, only the cue you're going to use instead is that you want to tuck your ankles. So let's see, I may have to angle my... There you go, now you can actually see my ankles. So as you're doing this, you just want to reach for your ankles, curling your back up, making sure your lower back stays pressed into the ground the whole time. I would advise against doing the link your hands behind your head thing, because a lot of us have a tendency to just haul on our neck, which is not great for it. The only reason I'm keeping my neck up so high right now is if I actually put it in neutral, my headset will fall off. But your head should ideally be in a neutral position. And you want to just slide forward for your ankles, slide back down. Slide up, slide down. If you're just starting out, if you don't have much, if you're not terribly active at present, I'd recommend not doing more than, sets of 25 at a time. And your abs will feel it afterwards. But if you space it out throughout the day, if you make it a thing that you do consistently in a smaller number of sets, that will be A, more achievable, B, more realistic, and C, more likely to get you to continue doing it. So remember, break it up throughout the day as you're going. You guys can't see my face there. There we go. And then you also want to work on your gluteus maximus, your butt muscles. Easiest muscle on the body to find. It's very prominent. Easiest one to do for this is a bridging exercise. Before you go up into a bridge, though, there's something very important you need to do. And I'm going to angle the camera down again so you can see this better. We talked in a previous episode about the importance of your lumbar position in sitting posture. Specifically, we talked about the fact that you don't want your back to be too far arched up like this. That's really exaggerated. But But you don't want your back to be arched up too high. You want your pelvis to be in a neutral position. And when you're laying down, what that means is my hand should be able to just go under my back, but shouldn't be able to slide all the way through. So I shouldn't be, way up here. I should also not be way down here with my back pressed all the way perfectly flat against the floor. That's too far. I want that middle ground. And if you aren't sure what your middle ground feels like, the easiest way to find it, pinch the front of your hip, your big bony point right here. It's called your ASIS. There's a matching point on your back, your PSIS. And you're just going to tilt your hip forward, far as it can go. Tilt it backwards, far as it can go. And then gradually progress your way down until you find that nice, easy, consistent middle ground, which is right here. So now I can get my hand a little bit underneath, but not all the way under. I know that